What's the truth about NIO Sales? And in fact, let's just address this now. What does the market look like? What is there even a future for EVs? Well, in China, there certainly is because the Chinese government has already said they're going to all pure electric vehicles by 2035. More on that in just a minute. But I actually would like to start here because what we have pulled up, and this is just for the beginning of the year in 2024, but we've got all vehicles, passenger vehicles from China. And what we have are six different categories. We've got the price ranges. We're going to focus on the bottom three because they're the higher priced range, roughly the 300,000 RMB and above price ranges. And that's where NIO sells their vehicles. All of their models are priced around that point, roughly 40 to 42,000 US dollars and above. Now, this is all vehicles sold in China. So understand this is both ICE and NEVs. They call new energy vehicles in China. So it can be a combination, sort of a hybrid or a pure battery electric vehicle. But this is not just those. This is also ICE sales. So for example, I'd like to highlight BMW here because BMW, with over 40,000, almost 41,000 of these in the early weeks of 2024, and then almost 35,000 here in this price range, and then almost 16,000 in this price range. But hang on, this is all sales. So what if we look at only the NEVs? Well, now the numbers change quite a bit. BMW with only 6.6 thousand, and then 5.2 thousand, and then 0.3 thousand. So what I'm seeing is the majority of the sales for not just BMW, but for Audi and for Mercedes-Benz. And these are the brands that have dominated the premium segment, the premium space in China. That's where the majority of their sales are coming from, which validates my thinking that the premium, the highest end price range in China, is the slowest to move over to pure battery electric vehicles. And that means NIO's not trailing in sales. It means they have more time to generate and take more of that market segment over. So what else can we learn? Well, I'm gonna nerd out for a minute. This is the NIO site. If you go here to the NIO.com site and then pull up annual reports, you can get into this. This is the most recent annual report, and I'm just going to take you right there. This is the piece that I want to hone in on. There are a few things that I'd like to talk about from here. This is page, and depending on how you pull it up, page 94 up here, page 91 down here, based on how you're looking up the document. But this is the piece, and this is why initially I started getting bullish on NIO when I first was researching them, is that right here, China, which again, once they say, hey, this is the direction we're going, that's it. It's essentially, this is going to be the law, the regulation. That's just what it is. By 2035, pure electric vehicles shall become the mainstream of new vehicles for sale. All right, but there's more, because they reference 2025 in this, and they talk about the average power consumption of NEVs. And then they also go on to say the sales volume of NEVs will reach around 20% of total sales volume of new vehicles. All right. And then I'm going to pause and we'll come back to the autonomous vehicle part, because I believe they're already ahead of this percentage, that 20% in China, heading to the NEV side of the business, except they're not moving that fast in the premium space, that premium pricing, that segment where NIO is selling all their vehicles, which again means there is more market to still shift over by 2035. Okay, now I want to come back to this highly autonomous vehicles reference, because they're already talking about in China that they're going to achieve commercial applications in limited areas. And again, this is stuff they're already doing. This is also one of the reasons that companies like NIO, with the extra chip and computing power that they've built into their models, their vehicles, and one of the reasons we're starting to hear about the NIO on Pilot there, essentially it's the precursor to their autonomous driving, is so good, is they're already thinking in terms of down the road and having this all in place. So I can't help but be excited. And I am not that concerned with the sales overall, because I'm recognizing we're talking about different pieces of the market. Also, the Chinese market is not the same as the American market. For example, you can have dialogue and go back and forth on even what states in the United States are more or less likely to adopt EVs. But in China, they've already made it clear they're going this direction. That's where the sales will be in the future. So my question and thinking is, how beneficial is it for NIO to do the infrastructure build out that they've been doing with power swap stations? And also, what are they not telling us? Because I believe that NIO is sharing more with some of their partners, these big companies that are aligning with them to do advanced partnership and even bring in and create some battery swappable vehicle models, because they see that there is an energy play with NIO, and whether that's working with them or ultimately paying them. So I just think it is still so early, but I wanted to bring that up, especially I want to look at it again, and I'll link all these things in the description so you can check them out for yourselves. I love these breakdowns because it really helps clarify things. Again, NIO with only 12.8 thousand in this 3 to 400,000 RMB price range, none showing up here in the 4 to 500,000, and then 1.2 in the 500,000 and above. But that's for all vehicle sales. And then if we move over to the NEV side, what happens? NIO shoots right up. They're number 3. They're number what? 5 and number 3. It's a big difference. But again, the big thing for me, the big takeaway is the premium side of the business. Those sales in China are the slowest to move away from ICE. So when they do, how well positioned is NIO going to be to take that market share and to dominate? That's what I'm wondering. Drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you. Thanks. Let me get this thing up and out. We'll see y'all again very soon.